card I think of as being elevated, a perspective that has a sort of, what's the word I want to use? Well, in the picture you see it's clouds. You're up in the sky. You have a lofty perspective. You're higher up. You can see more from this position. And I love this card for our question of intuition. It's not necessarily about analyzation. It's about perspective and gaining a broader perspective. A lot of times this Eight of Clubs card too is about groups that have a like-minded approach to things. A lot of times this will represent somebody's church group or their spiritual gathering. And so my interpretation of this card for this reading could also include things like, a support network of friends, or even a psychic class that you can take locally to build that net of psychic support for yourself. And it is down here at the bottom of the spread. It's in the very practical position. It's in the foot position, technically, of this layout. And so I say very much this could be a physical group of people. Okay, let's jump over to this present time spread. And again, I'm just taking hits off the cards, going with what I don't have to analyze to pull out. I'm being a little impulsive about my interpretations, and that's the way your intuition will present itself to you. And this card, this diamond card at the top of this spread, does illustrate the tendencies of impulsivity. Diamonds is the suit of fire. Fire is absolutely the impulsive element. It's not the patient element like over here. It's, come on, let's do it, let's go, let's go, let's go. So it's at the top of this 4-card spread. That gives it more power. It's holding predominance over the cards underneath it. That's just the natural power that the top card has in any layout, simply by being the top card. So that gives this ace extra importance. And the ace is all about all possibility, every possibility. It's the nugget that contains the whole world within it. And so, there's probably more I could glean from this card if I thought about it longer, if I meditated on it. But those are the ideas that are coming to me right off the bat. And again, as we go through, it's possible that I'll get more insight about cards that we've already talked about. So now I'm going to move to this card. And I don't always move so methodically like this, but for the sake of the video and because I'm not interacting with anyone here across from me, I'm just doing it that way for simplification. So this is a Spade card, another Spade card. We've got a rather heavy predominance of spades here. I've got black cards building, and spades is the element of earth. It's our physicality. It's the densest element. And I love spades in a question about intuition. Again, that's a bit surprising, isn't it? The dense element of earth in a question about intuition, which you think would be maybe a bit loftier. But to me, this is saying, be in your body. Stay in your body. Connect yourself to the present moment. Root yourself, right? As I do readings, I keep my 2 feet flat on the ground just for that purpose of rooting myself. And I try to keep my attention there throughout the reading. As I'm speaking, I'm feeling my 2 feet on the ground. Also, I have the person I'm reading for, before the reading even starts, I have them put their 2 feet on the ground. It puts them in a more receptive position. A lot of times when people come in for a reading, their legs are crossed. A lot of times even their arms are crossed. They've got their purse in their lap or something like that. And when I ask them to put their 2 feet flat on the ground, everything changes. Everything changes. So that's related here to this important earth element in this question of intuition. Now we have the mother of all earth element cards. It's the 9 of Spades, a very heavy-hitting earth card because it's a 9. It's the maximum number that a card can have until you break through into the court cards. And I love the illustration on this playing card oracle, 9 of Spades. We have a spider here, a spider, and behind the spider you can see is the spider's web. And typically I wouldn't read the card the way I'm going to now, but I'm allowing new things to come to me. I'm allowing new and surprising realizations to come to me. And I think it's interesting that we already talked about the reading as creating a web from card to card, and the reading moving like the spinning of a web. So to me, this is emphasizing that idea and saying, you know, you don't need to go linear. And it's also like the idea of unraveling the sweater, right? It's that weaving and allowing the reading to proceed like this instead of like this. So I like that interpretation for that card, and I rarely have used the card that way, and I love it when I find a new interpretation for a card. To me, that indicates I'm on the right path. Okay, and now we have the 2 of Hearts. This is a beautiful card for the topic of intuition because why? Because it's about person-to-person connection. It's about the connection you have with the person sitting across the table from you. See how in this illustration they're roped together. It's that connection that feeds the intuition. You know, have you ever noticed how a reading with someone else just has the potential to be so much more powerful than a reading by yourself? I find the readings with other people can just take off like rockets. You know, the energy just can build to such an extreme, and your intuition can really take off with this connection. And one and the same spread could be interpreted very differently depending on who you're sitting across from. And that person doesn't even need to say anything, right? They don't even need to say anything, and your reading will take on a new interpretation depending on who's just sitting right there. So this is a fantastic card. Again, it's down at the bottom of the spread. The bottom of the spread is as important as the top card, but in a different way. This is the foundation of the layout. This is the feet that you're standing on. This is the more like the crown chakra energy coming in. It acts as sort of an umbrella over the reading. But this is what you're standing on down here. It's your root. So I think this is plenty of information on intuition, and I don't want to go on and on because it'll water down these main messages that we've already pulled out. And so I invite you to lay your own cards out, find these cards in your deck, meditate on them, and play with the question. You know, your spread on intuition is going to look very different, probably. and what you need to know about intuition is going to be very unique to you. So feel free to lay out your own spread and ask Spirit what you need to know about your own intuitive practice. So thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy your intuition, and we'll be back next time.